Welcome back on Dynamod. Today I want to propose you a video about the unboxing review about the White Dwarf 482 of November 2022 released by the Games Workshop. This is quite an interesting one as White Dwarf because it has a lot of things inside that we'll see quite soon, because it has a lot of, I can say, codes about games. It's only one code, but it's a lot of games that are inside. These ones are free ones, so it's really quite amazing because you can have the amount of games that you can see here that are free, so not bad at all, and other games that are discounted of 50%. The most part of them are DLC of other games, so not worry. But at the end, it's something that I really appreciate because, for example, one of these I have yet it, because I had it from another previous code that I had yet from the White Dwarf, and this time I had also these. So it's something that I'm really quite glad about this White Dwarf, even if only for this one. Then we have some other inside that we see quite soon, that it's about different pieces of games and cards and reference sheets. So I think that it's really quite interesting. Here we can see a preview of what is the cover of the White Dwarf itself, that it's this one, that it's so it's quite interesting, and really I like a lot. And one thing that I like more is that it's in this, I guess, a bag. It's in this sheet that you can put the things on if you don't use, but moreover because it doesn't bring any problem about the White Dwarf making inserts and so on, as we've seen in other White Dwarf, and so I appreciate it quite a lot. So now we go to see about the inserts inside. So in here we have the inserts. We can start from this, that it's the one about the codes. We can make the code available from cog.com, and you have such games that are free. So Gladius, here we have the Battlefield Gothic Armada, here we have Daka, here we have Warhammer Shadow of the Horned Rat, here Warhammer Warhammer Quest 2, here we have Chaos Gate that I have yet, so anyway it's something that it's quite nice. Here we have Warhammer 40k Rights of the War, here we have Non-War Crusader, here we have Talisman, here we have Dark Future, here we have the Epic 40k, and here we have more of them. Talisman had these also from other options in the past about Steam or other, so it's not new, but it's something that I appreciate quite a lot. So we have really a lot of things I really like. Take note, because technically here this code that give you all such games, it's like having almost 200 euro saved of games. Okay, I think that it's referring more about the not complete price, but the actual price of the games if they are not offered one. Still is something that I really appreciate. About the code, you can find here this. Obviously I covered the code I yet use, so it's not valid, but still for privacy I prefer to have this. So remember that you have to make the register about each of your codes, and it's a single use only, so pay attention about this. Still, it's something that I appreciate quite a lot, because it's really quite nice, and if you want to play, there are all games that you can have a lot of interesting parts. I'm quite interested about trying, for example, Gladius, that I've seen but never played about, and a bit also about the Battlefield Gothic, because it's a game that I'm quite looking at. So here it's this, and now we go to see about the other inserts inside. Here we have this, that it's a part about Horus Heresy with an update of the rules for the weapons and so on, and so it's quite interesting. Remember that inside the White Dwarf there are new rules and update about the rules about the Horus Heresy part, so it's something that you really have to pay attention about, because it's quite something that you have to take note. So now we go to see about the other things. And similar to what we have seen about the Horus Heresy, here we have about Necromunda. So as you can see, we have new schedules about the profiles of the weapons and so on that you can simply put in your army book or your code book about the game, and so play. Again, about Necromunda there are news inside, so it's quite worth about this, and I like anyway that there is such paper inserts, because if you are going to play it with some core book, physical one and so on, having this that you can have a quick referral about, I think that it's really quite useful to talk. And here we have about Warcry, and here we had to take different notes, because we have this that, as you can see, it's a sort of way to have a campaign of Warcry, because we have also about Warcry here these schedules that are these ones that are related about the new box about Warcry. As you can see, we have the part about the chaos, and here the part about the undead. Here I'm quite interested, because about this is something that I'm really quite interested about, and I'll buy the squad about the undead when it will be released separately from the box, because I'm not interested about the other parts of the box, but only the squad, and I love such working. And here we have about the kill team, because we have these parts, but also these parts. So as you can see, we have quite a lot of things about the kill team. Here it's really rich, this White Dwarf, about everything related, all not the same game, but quite a lot of games related about Age of Sigmar and 30k and so on, and secondary one eventually, but they are really quite nice. So really, if you're interested, it's something that you can appreciate quite a lot, such a White Dwarf, only because this additional, because you don't have to buy this card or these cards that are an update. And inside there are also more things related about Warcry, Kill Team, and we've seen about before Necromunda and Horus Heresy. So now it's only to go to see about the White Dwarf itself. Here we can find that an cover that it's the basic cover, simply without any writing, and I like such. I admit that in some way I prefer this way other than the previous one that it was with a completely different cover. Still, they are really quite interesting. Here it's a description of the insert and so on that you can find inside. Remember anyway that this alternative cover it's only available if you subscribe to the White Dwarf, so pay attention about such. Here we can see a preview of what are the contents inside that, as you can see, it's quite rich. Here the mailing list of the readers to the team of the White Dwarf, that as always I suggest you to not maybe read, but watch, read the images, because you have to analyze them. For example, such basing with the water effect, it's quite interesting. The scheme of colors, or some simply basing like this that can be quite useful eventually, so it can be really quite nice. Here, for example, I don't like too much such basing, but it doesn't mean that it's awful. Here it's a simple basing, but we can have quite interesting effect on the models. Also here, simple basing, but effectively. Here, for example, it's something that it's a bit messy maybe, but it's a characterization of the part about the model. For example, here we can find other things as Simocoros. Think about this. It's the model about Warhammer 40k from the Prophet of the Inari, and here we have this so modify and so on. So it's really quite amazing, because you can see how simple modifying can change. Here it's simple basing, but the effect it's quite nice. So you can have a lot of things that can be interesting. Here instead we have about the World of Warhammer with an article of Andy Clark that talk about how you can answer silly to a lot of questions, because okay, it's a bit fun this one eventually to read, but it's not something that you have to have a referral about. So now we go to see a bit better about Warhammer 40k. Here we can flip and we can find the article about Dark Tide, that it's a video game about Warhammer 40k, and it will be released the 30 November 2022, officially as announced as when I make this video. So pay attention, because if it changes lately, it's something that I can't foresight. Still, it's something that I'm really quite interested about. And here we can find also other things about the game, because it's about the miniatures and how you can paint these miniatures related about the game itself. So it's something that I'm really quite interested about, because you can have the artwork of the game and the equivalent version of the miniatures and so on. So it's really something to see. For example, here we had diorama that it's quite interesting, because it lets you understand how you can modify, what you can choose and so on to realize something similar. So I think that it's really quite interesting. Here there is the color scheme that you can use eventually, so it's something amazing. And here we had the second part about the Necron with the Army of Renown. Remember that the previous White Dwarf, the October one, had another one. So the previous one was about using the part related about the Scorpion Lord, the part about the corrupted flayers and so on. So it's something related about a nascent way. This is about the technical way, because it's related about the Cryptek. So it's something quite interesting. As I made for the previous White Dwarf, I released an analysis about such one, about a bit later, about the releasing of such review about the White Dwarf itself, still in the same week, so not to worry. And when I done, I put also the link in the description about such White Dwarf. So it's something that it's really quite amazing, because it's really all about the, as you can see, the Necron Swarms, the Cryotek, the Cryptek and so on. And I really like such one. Sincerely, if the previous one made me interesting, this one make me really want it to try about. So as you can see, there is a lot of things, not so much as in the previous one, but a lot of things to take note, because you have to refer to the normal codex, and about that you can find something interesting that you can use, combine this with the other things. So quite good. Anyway, we can flip here, we can find about the kill team with a lot of things, because we have the part about how to play the game, so it's a way to understand how you can play the game and so on. I like this mostly because the images, and so I take that note, not about mainly the game itself, because I'm not interested about this game of Kill Team. Remember that there are the insults. As you can see, there are a lot of pages about. Here we have the fiction about, so we have a novel that is related about Kill Team, and this I suggest you to go to see about the images that are amazing, and the text itself, because it's always something interesting to read, because anyway it's a piece of background about 40k, so really quite nice. Here we have the part about the mission pack for Kill Team. As you can see, also again, I not read about the rules, because I'm not interested about the images and so on. But I think that for someone that is interested about Kill Team, this is really quite rich to talk about. Here we have a talk by Robin Crudes about the objectives in the games and how they can be used in the game itself. And I think that this can be really quite inspiration as article, because it gives you an idea on how to modify, for example, for campaign or so on, or have a better shooting about thematizing your army and so on. So I think that it can be really quite intriguing. This so here we have the team of the E-Metal with Max Fellow that talk about how to paint the new army about the Leagues of Wotan, and I find it really quite interesting. I have not yet bought the codex about the League of Wotan, even if I'm thinking about, because I'm interested about the background, not the rules, because about the rules there has been quite a lot of promise about the League of Wotan. Still, this is something that I really suggest to see, because it's always good for someone that want to paint the armors, so it's always nice. But there are other suggestions, other things, the themes of the army that can be really quite interesting and can be really quite something that you look for, because you can have a lot of personalization to talk about. And here we can start with Age of Sigmar, that see this amazing Luminate against Cinch. What you are make the okay, I want you to win, which army. So here we have again about Gur, because it's the main theme about such season of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. And here we have the battle report about Warcry. And what I like to see about this are these things about and the feeds and so on that you have. Remember that these battle reports are always useful to understand the game. So, for example, I myself don't like too much Warcry. Still, if I want to have a preview of how you can work the game itself, this type of battle report can be really quite interesting. So it's a way to understand better, and I think that it's really worth in that way, because it can be a good way to understand or read something that you're interested about. So maybe you are interested about Warcry, and such battle report can make you pleased because it's a battle report about the Warcry, or you can decide to read to see if it can be interesting for you, the Warcry, without having to buy or see all the things related. So I think that it's always something to appreciate, because it's always nice. Here we have this that it's related about the Warcry dashboard. Here we have this that you can copy and so on. Remember that you have all the inserts that are related about Warcry that are quite interesting, and it's talking about this. So here are free ones, and here it's the one that you can find and you can use. So it's quite interesting. Here we have new rules about Warcry, as I anticipated. So I'm not going to judge this, because as I said again, I don't play Warcry. Still, it's quite interesting. Here are the ones that we are seeing inserts that are available. So here instead you have this that it's explaining you how to use, and so it's really quite interesting. Here we have about the Flashpoint Rondel, so related about Gur, remember that. And so we have a lot of background that it's related and put here. Here we have how to paint eventually this that it's related about the Orc Warcrans, that it's quite nice. Eventually, if you're interested about the Orc Warcrans, I suggest you to go to see my video about the battlefields that are going to be released in December by the Games Workshop, because maybe you can find something interesting about this, or also some other armies. So eventually remember also that. Here we have this that is about the Flashpoint, and it's related mainly about the Luminate. And so we have the background about that it's not you can have a lot of background about, and here the campaign related about the Luminate. So it's something that you can really have a lot of time. It's a narrative one, even if you can play a sort of Path to Glory eventually, if you're interested about. And it's something that can be interesting to see how you can develop a campaign, how you can use. Here I have also the battle plans, or you can adapt to something else. So quite intriguing, this one. Here an article about the Underworld. As usually I don't play Underworld, but I love the minutes that are released with Underworld so much that I have some of them, made the unboxing, and I'm converting some of them. So if you're interested, in the description you can find the playlist related about. And I like a lot such cards and so on, because they are amazing about the images of the cards, so much that I'm planning about using in other ways. Here we have about Horus Heresy with new rules. Remember that there is the insert about, and so here it's something that you have really to take note, because you can have a lot of info that are really necessary to play with, because there are a lot of new rules. So amazing. Here we have about Necromunda, that as I said, we have the part about the Wargi and so on as insert here, but still we have new rules that are available, and if you're interested about Necromunda, you have a lot to talk. And here the section about the Black Library, with this that it's part of what we've seen before related about the special chapter about the White Dwarf. So we had the Tomekeeper, and it's really quite interesting. More than it's released about such chapter, more I'm hoping that it's released a sort of chronicles or so on that has all the novels and the sort of book entirely dedicated to the parts about the Tomb Keepers themselves, because I'm quite interested about collecting the background in all a single place, because I have all the White Dwarfs related about. Still, it's a bit dispersive to talk, because I have to read in different White Dwarfs on. I have instead, if having all in the same place could be quite interesting, I think. So I'm quite looking for. As usually, I suggest you to read such ones, because you can find a new author that you can be interested about. You can find a new chapter, a new army that you can be interested about, or it's an army that you're interested, and you can discover, for example, some news about the background, or for example something like a new author to read. So it's a lot of win-win if you read, and it's always welcome. You have inside the studio that it's related about what will be released in the next White House, so it's quite interesting. I'm quite interested about such army of the ride, even if it's a bit flashy, and we can yet see that this is related about the next part. So the Tom Wood campaign part 2, that it's related about such imaging, so it's really quite interesting. So what to say about such White Dwarf? I think that it's really amazing. You have a lot of inserts, even only the part about the code for the video games, it's almost a must-have. So you have really, if you're interested about the games, the video games, it's wonderful. If you're going to play Necromunda, Horus Heresy, Warcry, you had to buy this, because it's, or even Kill Team, you have to use, because there are a lot of new rules. There are the inserts that can be really useful for you, so it's really amazing. Also, the part about the painting, it's not as usual, but it's interesting. Also about conversion, it's not the best eventually, but there are still some idea. And remember that there are all the other things that you have to talk about. There is the part about the campaign for the Luminate, so if you're going to play with the Age of Sigmar, can be quite interesting, even if you don't play the Luminate themselves, because you can use as a referrer about. You simply can change the armor and adapt it a bit. So there are a lot of interesting things, and so I suggest you. Okay, mainly about the video game, but all the things inside made it worse. So for me, in my opinion, this White Dwarf, it's technically a must-have for all the game that you play, because it's really amazing and full of interesting things. So, from Dynamod, it's everything. I invite you to put a like on this video, to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell, and to comment this video if you are interested in something about this video, or you want to suggest me some arguments for other videos. I hope to see you again to the next time.